modelling workshops, the end of modelling workshop 1, the first one, you should have a model not dissimilar to this one. You'll notice that we don't have any beams in yet, and the floors don't even reach all of the floor levels that we've made. So I'm going to correct both of those things now. The purpose of today is basically to put in some walls, finish off the beams, and place an atrium in the centre of this structure in order we can get light into the core of the building. So I'm going to do kind of all of that today, and I'm hopeful that this webinar should last somewhere in the region of half an hour, hopefully maybe a wee bit less. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this floor up, and then I'm going to make some edits to it. It's just a bit plain, ordinary rectangular floor, and then I'm going to do the beams, and then I'm going to do the walls and the atrium. So it'll be done in that order. So the floor first, I'll copy it onto the clipboard here, and I'm going to paste it up a level. I'm going to paste it up to level 4. It's on ground 1, 2, 3 right now. So I'm going to paste it up to level 4. And it'll look a bit odd because it'll be sitting in mid-air. But we'll deal with that when we do the columns and beams. Now, this is on level 4, and I'm going to go to the floor level for level 4. The ground floor plan. I'm going to make some edits to this floor. It's a bit plain, and not every building looks like a box. So I'm going to edit the boundary of this floor, and I'll use this line tool. And remember the offset, please, that has a habit of changing all the time, so just keep your eye on it if you're using this tool. And I'll select, with the offset set, I'll select the intersection between these grid lines, and again here. If you look carefully, you'll see that these don't meet. So we have some tidying up to do afterwards. And I'm going to do the same, I think, in this opposite corner. Again, the offset disappears, so just again, keep your eye on it, please. Zoom in, and then it's the intersection between the grid lines that we're choosing here, because the offset will push us out. Push the floor boundary out to where we want it to be. And again up here, the intersection in here. Okay. And then on these two corners, I think I'm going to put arcs in, just to give it a kind of filleted corner. Now the arc tool is in here. And again, 250mm offset. And yet again, it's the intersection here that we use. And you'll see that it will snap to the tangent there. I don't know if you can see it snapping. That's not me clicking, that's just it snapping. So when it snaps, then I click, and I'm happy with that. And a single escape. Keep the tool active, because we're going to edit this in a wee minute. I want another one now over in this opposite corner. It's the same thing really. Again, just keeping your eye on this offset in here. It just remained at 250, and for once it has, which is nice. And I'm just going to select in here. I'm kind of broadly working in a clockwise direction rather than doing it in reverse here. The offset would go on the wrong side if that were the case. And again, you can see the snap there. I hope you can anyway. That's going to give me a nice tangential filleted corner. And I finish that. And I've got them intersecting, and so I'm just going to continue. I've got to make some fillets here, some edits here to tidy it up. The tool I'd like you to use here is called Trim and Extend to Corner. And you select the pieces of the line that you want to keep. Now I don't want to keep this part of this line, this area here. But I do want to keep this part of it here. So I select the bits I want to keep, and I'm going to keep that as well, and this then disappears. Same again in here. And then that bit disappears, and that's me got a nice filleted corner. And a bit tidying up here, you'll notice it makes the corners for me, all nicely offset. And then again in here. And I've got another two to do, one up here, and one in here. Sorry, another two to do, so I'll do this one. on there, on there, and that should be my floor finished. I'll have a wee look at it in 3D. And apart from the fact that it's sitting in midair, it's got a nice kind of shape to it. It's just less boring than the original. It's on level 4, this floor. I'm going to copy it up onto level 5. Paste aligned, put it onto level 5. And then I'm going to make sure the columns go up to the appropriate level, so I can just select those columns in here, and these currently got to level 3, and obviously we want them to go up to support the floor. Now, because we had a kind of chamfered corner over here and another one over here, and a filleted corner over here and here, we've got columns that don't need to go up to that level. 4 of them, one in each corner. So I'm going to select them, and I'm just going to hold the control key down, and that one there, and with some care, that one there, just have a wee double check you've got the right ones. And these are going to go back just up to level 3. They don't have to come up to level 5. So the building is beginning to look something like that. Now the next thing we'll do is we're going to put the beams in. I'm going to go to level 1 to put the beams in. And then if I double middle click, I'll get the model in the middle of the window. It's the same as putting the keyboard shortcut ZF, exactly the same thing. And I'm now going to put the beams in. The beams tool lives in the structures tab. It's actually the first one there. And this one here that it's given to is this UB beam of 305 165 by 40 is fine. That's the one I'm going to use. But I'm going to use this on goods tool, and I select the on goods tool, and then I'll leave the perimeter just at the end. That's just a kind of habit I have. I tend to do the ones I can see first. So holding the control key down, I select the grid line, all of them, just keeping the control key down. It makes no order what you do these in, but just do it with some care. Then I'll do the perimeter ones. There's no advantage or disadvantage, it's just a kind of custom I have of doing it in this order. And it really makes no difference. So finish, that's the beams on that level. And if I have a wee look at them, you'll see that basically they're in the wrong place. They use the same 3D space as the floor. Clearly the beams are going to be set underneath the floor to provide the support for that floor. They don't occupy the same 3D space. I have a further edit to do on these floors. If I select one of them, it doesn't matter which one, and I go into edit type and structure, you'll see that the floor has a depth of 211 mil. I would like to change that to 250. The metal deck has, although it's embedded in the structure of the floor, it has a thickness of 0, so it's technically there, but there's nothing there for us to see with a thickness of 0. And I'm going to leave it at that for the moment. So I'm going to OK that, and apply that. And not just that one has been given this thickness of 250, they all have. So I'm going to choose one at random, and just to check on it, it's 250 mil in here. I don't know if you can see that. So that's okay. So all the floors are 250 mil. These beams, I'm going to select them all and give them a start level offset of minus the thickness of the floor, which in our case, we've just made it as 250, and an end level offset of the same. Basically, they sit horizontally. They don't have any slope on them. And these beams here will go under the floor. And if we have a wee look at them here, you can see the beams are there providing the support for that floor. Now all of these beams, I'm just going to SA them all, so select them all, and I'm going to copy them onto the clipboard and paste them down into ground level. Okay, that, and they'll just appear. We don't have to model them all again. You'll notice that the offset that we gave them to put them under the floor has persisted. That's fine. That's a great wee tool. It's a nice feature. Saves us doing it all over again. And I'm now going to copy them all again. Well, actually, they're still on the clipboard. I don't have to bother. So I'm just going to I will copy them all again. Excuse me, I'm just going to paste them up to level ground 1, 2. Now I have too many of them here, they'll be sticking out the side here. I don't want them all up here like that. But the ones that I do want are in place, so I just take the ones that I don't want away. I'll just select them like that and delete them from the keyboard. Same over here. Delete them from the keyboard. And we're now getting the beams going up through the building nicely. Now I just want to select these here. Over select. So I'm picking up columns and floors, and so I filter them out. I don't want the floors, and I don't want the columns, I just want the structural framing, the beams. Apply that and OK that. And then I copy them onto the clipboard and paste them up another level. Ground 1, 2 up to level 3. So they'll appear in there. That's looking good. And then I'm just actually going to paste them up to level 4 as well. Make the edit. I've got 4 corners here that I need to make an edit on. So I've got too many. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ones from level 4 that I don't need. Excuse me. Put the fine level of detail on to see them. And that's them there. Level 3, that might help. I'll do it in 3D, it's easier to see, I think. Ground 1, 2, 3. I'm basically working on level 4 here. I'm going to take that beam away, that beam away, that beam, that beam. I've got to basically make the edits into the corners that I gave these chamfered edges and these fillets. That one there. Don't want to miss any. One here, one here. I'm not sure, but I think I've got one more to do. No, I've got them all, that's all. So I want to go into level 4 floor plan. I'm going to select the floor, I'm going to hide the floor out of the way for a minute. So I go behind the glasses and hide the element. And I make sure the detail level is visible. And I'm going to put structure, beam, and I think this is a rounded edge. I'm going to go to the arc tool in here, and here I just have to go center of the column to center of the column. And I'll take the snap. I'm just going to check that in 3D. Make sure I haven't put finding it would be good. Well, it's not in that corner. It must be in this one. Let's see it. I think it's here. That's there. I'll give it the offset, so I'll just double check that it is in fact there. You've made a good job of doing this, but sometimes it might be nice to see a mistake made. Not really a mistake there, it's sitting there, and that's how it's supposed to look. It takes that filleted corner. So back into the level 4 floor plan. I'm going to do one over on this side. Okay, that's also the arc. I did them in opposite corners. And arc tool is in here. Double check the beam is still there, that's fine. and then middle of the column, the middle of this column here, let it snap. And I'll just do the two straight ones here, the two kind of chamfered corners here. Beam, do it again, this time it's a straight line. So middle of the column, middle of that column. And finally over here, the final one. Beam, line tool, just have a check, still on the line tool it is. Line tool, line tool. That's final, that's the 4 corners done. Check it in 3D. Checking in 3D is always a good idea. Right. I'm going to SA, that'll pick up every beam in the model, but it doesn't really matter. I just want to make sure if that level offset is at -250 for them all. And the end level offset is the same, -250. And apply that. And they'll just pop down. And yeah, I'm happy with that. I've got them all in. I'm going to make a view. I'm making a copy of this 3D default view, and I'll put these on the upper level as well though. So I just want to select the framing or the beams. So I'll filter out the things I don't want. I don't want the floor, I don't want the columns, just the beams. And I'll copy them onto the clipboard and I'll paste them up to level 5. And you'll see them up here, hopefully. And all the offsets are in place. That's fine. Okay, so the building's beginning to take shape. I've got all the columns in, all the appropriate footings, and I've got all the beams in. I'm going to make a copy of this. If you right click on the default 3D view in here and duplicate it. Now this is just obviously it's a copy, it's exactly the same, but I'm going to make some changes on it. I want to hide the floors and any architectural features that I then put in the model. I just want this to show the structural steel. We'll rename it appropriately, which in this case is going to be 3D structural steel. I spelled it properly, yeah I have. And I'll come into this tool here, the visibility and graphics override, and I just want to just show the structural elements, so I'll take those away and don't want the floors in, just the steel, nothing else. Anything else that's kind of persistent here. Ramps, no images of roofs. I want to leave any shaft opening I put in, and I will put shaft openings in when I do the atrium later on this morning. I don't want stairs in. The rest of it's all going to be structural. I don't want walls in. So that'll be fine. Apply that, and the floors will disappear, and I get this view here that it looks a bit like, well, you can make up your own mind. It's not that clear, but it's good for you to see that you've got your structural steel all properly modelled without floors getting in the way. We've still got the 3D view, full model, but we've got this view which is altered to let us see just the steel. Alright, so I'm now going to put in, have a look at this, I'm going to put in some walls. Now around this ground floor, I'm just going to put in 4 brick walls. And then on some of the walls here, I'm putting in some glass walls, some curtain walling, and then I'm going to kind of mix and match a wee bit. I'm going to put some curtain walling into the brick walls around this ground to first levels. So I'll go to architecture, select the wall tool, and this wall here is fine for me. I'll just make sure that I select the pick line tool, and I'm just going to choose the face of the floor above. And if it goes in the wrong way around, which this one has, if you select it and hit the space bar one time, that'll flip it. And we've got some edits to do to this floor. I'll show you what they are in a minute. In the meantime, I'm going to get the 4 walls in. This wall is clearly too high, I don't mind that. I'll fix that in a minute as well. So wall and a pick line tool, this one here. I'm choosing the face of the level 1 floor and there. I'll turn it around in a minute, I'll flip it in a minute hitting the space bar, but for the moment I want to do this one in here, get them in first. They're all going in kind of back to front. This is plasterboard on the outside, not a good idea. And the bricks on the inside, equally not a good idea. So just select them, spacebar one time, and that'll flip them, change their orientation. And that one there, bricks on the inside. And then I can select all these walls by SA and make them go from the base constraint ground level, which is right, but the top constraint is just to be up to level 1. I just want these walls to go to level 1. Now, I want you to pay attention to this wee bit here, because the ground floor is going to be different. If I hide off one of these, that'll maybe help. Hide off that wall for a minute. If you have a wee look in here, you'll see that this floor here eats into this wall, kind of takes out the geometry of half of the wall, the inner skin of the wall. It maintains the cavity, but here it looks as if this wall isn't fully supported by the ground floor, and that's because it isn't fully supported by the ground floor. This first level floor was just a copy of this, but now we have to rectify that and extend the boundary of the ground floor so that it fully supports the wall, but the floor above it is only going as far as basically reaching the cavity. It's supported on the inner skin, the inner leaf of the wall. So select the floor and I edit its boundary. And the tool here is called Align, and I select the face of the wall and I'm aligning the floor to it. So now if you have a look at it, you'll see that this floor is fully supported, this wall is fully supported by the floor. And I've got to do that 4 times. So although it started off live just as a copy of this, now they're ever so slightly different. Okay, I'm going to bring this wall back that I hid, bring it back into view, and then I select the floor again. I edit its boundary, and the tool here to use is this one here. It's called Align. It's a really handy wee tool. I want to align the face of this wall to this boundary. I don't know if you saw that very well, but I'm trying to make it nice and quick, maybe too quick. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make a change in here. I'll do it a bit slower this time. I select the floor, I edit the boundary, and then I'll zoom in so you can see it on your screens. Like that, and that's the best way to look at it, make it nice and big. So the tool here is Align, and I want to align the outer face of this wall here to that boundary. So the boundary pops out, and then I'll do the other one on this other side. Finish it here first. And just make sure that it's still neat and aligned. Yeah. So you select the floor, you edit its boundary, and then you select the Align tool, this one here, and I want to align the face of that to that. And I don't know if I've lost count if I've done all 4, but you can see that they're aligned now, they're plumb. I don't know if you can see them, but if you can't, just take my word for it, they're aligned. And I'm going to swing around this one here. I think I've got them all now. Can't count up to 4. I've got them all done. Yeah, they're all done. And I'm going to put some glass walls in this structure. Clearly, this building, we need to put some glass in here because we need to get light into its core, and we need to put some form of entering the building. But for the moment, I'm just going to leave the walls in. I'll use a similar tool. I'll just use the architectural wall tool. These are all architectural walls and won't show up in the 3D structural steel model that we made. It's still as it is. So I'm just using this view of the model. So I select the wall tool and I choose a curtain wall and scroll down using the type selector in here to the middle option here, curtain wall exterior glazing. And again, it's the pick line tool, and I'm just going to come and do these corners that I did. Zoom in, make it easier for you to see. Okay, now if you can't see them, if you think you haven't done it, it'll just be because I was too lazy to change the properties before I placed them. So I'm going to make this level go from base constraint level 3 and top constraint level 5. Push over. And I've got some glass walls on these corners. I'll do the same with this curved corner. I might not do them all. I reckon if you can do this corner, you can do any. You can do the other one, for example. It's not. If you can do it once, you can do it several times. So pick the line tool, and I'm just going to choose the face of that there. And if it goes into the wrong place, that doesn't matter. You just select it and change its properties in here. I want to go between levels 3 and 5. So the base constraint is level 3, the top constraint is level 5. Level 5, good. So I'm not going to bother doing these other two. Clearly you can see how that works. But I will show you how to put in the storefront walls into these brick walls on the ground floor. So I'm going to go to the ground floor plan, and I'm just going to put in some curtain walls embedded within the brick walls. I use this option here, the curtain wall storefront, and I'm just going to kind of randomly set some walls in here. I'll come in quite closely and I'll make some of them small, and you'll get this odd warning telling you that you've highlighted walls overlap. Clearly they overlap, you just put one inside the other one, so it's a kind of stupid message. Just ignore it, and I'm going to make them vary in size a wee bit. Just make sure you have it in the middle of the wall, make sure you get the dotted line. Some bigger ones here. Smaller ones here. You can play around with it as much as you like. So I might do a bigger one here, it's going to take forever if I make them all that size. Ignore these messages. Now these walls are embedded in the brick walls, you can see. And if I look at this in 3D, move that out of the way, you can see in here what we've modelled. Now you have to go to modify and then the tool called cut geometry. Usually just called cut, but it's called cut geometry, it's its proper name. And then you select the big wall, the brick wall, and you're going to cut it with those storefront curtain walls. And I'm going to do them all. I won't do them all on each side of this building because, again, if you can see it once and do it once, then you can do it with them all. Makes no difference. And this is quite a common way of getting light into the core of a building, in this case into the perimeter of the building. I select these walls and I cut them all, and that's it. And I find the height, because I can bring this down. I'm going to bring that down and the wall will reappear above it. Now this would make a good entrance if you wanted to have an entrance in the corner. This one here, for example, I'll zoom in. I'm going to bring that down, and that would make a reasonable window. I'm going to select it. They're editable from the bottom as well, the grips. You can bring that up. Now once you've got heights that you like, this tool here is called Match Type Properties. I'm going to match the properties of that there onto that one there, and you'll see these are now a uniform height. I'm going to make that one the same, make the bigger ones the same, and there's a big one there. That's kind of medium size. I'll make that the same as the other one. So now I'm going to match the properties of this one here. I'll take the properties of that and I paint those properties onto that, and they'll all have the same height, this one, and then finally that one. So those are kind of ideally doors and maybe windows. There are no windows as such in this building, and I'm just simply going to now do the atrium. The atrium is a means by which I can get light into and even air into the core of the building. So the first thing I do is I make a shaft opening. I'm just going to put a single shaft opening in this building, but you can do several if you like. And the shaft opening is going to come in here. I'm just going to put a rectangle in. And you can get fussy with this. You can use the numbering. I'm just going to do it by eye. That's the shaft opening and finish. Now the shaft opening won't place itself properly. I'll let it do its thinking. And then have a wee look at it in 3D. And the shaft opening is kind of sitting above the roof. Clearly not a good idea. I want this shaft opening to cut all the floors all the way right down, but not including the ground floor. So I'll just drag it down. To there. So I've now got my opening made. And I'm going to come back to the top level, level 5, and I'm going to place a mass. A mass is a kind of translucent, semi-transparent 3D object. I'm going to show the mass by view settings. I'm going to click that on so the mass is going to be visible. And the in place mass, I'll save the project later, cancel that. The in place mass, you can change its name here. You could change that to Atrium. That's probably a good idea, but I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to leave it as mass 1. And because it's rectangular, the rectangular tool just sits in there. And I'm simply going to, on this occasion, I'm going to copy the shape of the shaft opening. The bit I would like to draw attention to is the bit that people forget, is create the solid form in here. So create the form. You'll get this form of cursor appear, and you can just finish that mass. In 3D, you'll see this kind of translucent, weird 3D object appear, and if I select it and edit it in place, you'll see I can do 3 things. I can edit it in 3 ways, kind of immediately. I can edit the corners, which I'm not going to do. I can edit the edges, equally I'm not going to do that either. And the final one is I can edit the faces, and that's what I'm going to do with this one. I'm going to choose the face on the underside, and I get a cursor appearing, and this time I want to drag it down. I want to drag it down until it stops at the ground, at level 1 floor, not the ground floor, level 1. And then this one has placed itself quite high. So the top face, I'm going to bring that down as well. I'm going to bring it down so it looks a bit like that. And that's okay. I'm going to finish that mass. And then I come in here to architecture, curtain systems, and then I choose the faces. So I want to choose that face there. I want to choose all the faces. All these are going to be a curtain system. They're all going to be glass. Here, and finally here. And then if the top one here, and if you can't choose it right away, you hit the tab key so you can choose it and then select it. Then create the system. You'll see you've got your atrium. And I'm going to come back into the massing insight. I'm going to hide the mass. I'm not going to delete it, just leave it in place. You might want to change it. So, but I'm going to hide it. And that's the traditional way of getting light and even air into the core of the building. I've now got light coming into this building all the way right down to the ground floor. If I hide this wall, you might be able to see if we were to walk through. I can't see it. Well, there it's there. You can see basically the hole in the floor, and the mass has allowed us to place the curtain walling around the perimeter of that atrium, stop people walking off the floor and falling down. So you could put more walls in here, or clearly you would have to put more walls in here, but I'm not going to do that. I'll just bring this wall back, and that's the stage I would like you to get to at the end of workshop 2. And I'll see you next week. Thank you very much. Bye bye.